Welcome to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. Today, Alisha with Alisha Crossley Photography is here to chat about Preview Prosecco, which is a new service she added into her photography business to serve her clients well and add to her bottom line. You're listening to the Legal Paige podcast, where we chat about life and business with a legal twist. I'm Paige, attorney and photographer helping online businesses and creatives tackle their business dreams without breaking out in hives. No more legal mumbo jumbo. This podcast features simple, bite-sized advice that'll have you legally legit in no time. Are you ready? Let's get started. I'm here to tell you this Preview Prosecco thing is genius. And it's something I've added into my photography business to better serve my clients, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little bit about my friend Alisha. Alisha is a recovering English teacher turned fine art wedding photographer. With a background in literary arts, her love for storytelling is fully embraced behind the camera as she lovingly directs her subjects. Focused on capturing an authentic narrative, Alisha implements a guided, organic approach to wedding imagery, enhanced by the use of film. Alisha has a master's degree in education and heart for sharing methods of success with fellow photographers. In addition to the business she and her husband, Patrick, share, they also have 3 kiddos, 2 dogs, and 1 cat. Together, they've captured weddings in the United States and beyond for the last decade. Their work has been featured in Style Me Pretty, Carrots and Cake, and Southern Weddings. The only thing thicker than her Southern accent is the vanilla syrup in her latte. Now, you guys, Alisha has an amazing resume, but she is also one of my closest friends in the photography world. We have very similar hearts and souls, and she is someone that I really look up to. I am so glad we became close friends at the beginning of this year through the Julie Paisley Mastermind, and I know that you are going to love her too, and her adorable Southern charm. Let's just get into it already. Here is the episode, friends. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Legal Paige podcast. I am very excited that my friend Alisha is here to talk about her Preview Prosecco program. This is a new service that she has added into her photography business to serve her clients well and also add to her bottom line. But I'm not going to get into it too much. She's going to teach all about it. Alisha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Paige. I'm so excited. You know, I'm a huge fan of yours, and you've been such a plethora of information and such a dear friend. So I am truly excited to get on and partner with you a little bit to talk about this.
Oh, Alisha, you're just the best. I could reach across the screen and hug you right now. You guys, I introduced the official Alisha Crossley bio at the beginning of the episode. But of course, Alisha is a dear friend of mine. I know a lot about her, but she is just a cool boss ass lady. And I want her to tell you her story and kind of how she came into the photography world almost a decade ago. She is a seasoned professional. So Alisha, why don't you tell our listeners today, who you are and why you do what you do and why you love it?
Absolutely. So I actually started, as Paige said, full-time a decade ago, which is crazy to say. It feels like it was yesterday. But originally I started just, on the side in college doing second shooting. It was always meant to be a hobby, never meant to be a career. And finished up undergrad with a very useful degree in English and art. And all I heard, for 4 years is, what are you going to do with that? So actually, Paige knows this. I considered law school, and that was a quick no after an internship. Didn't love that too much, but have so much respect for my friends who went on to continue on with law. But I did grad studies in education. And so it was really setting me up for this to become a business, and I didn't realize it at the time. I was able to continue shooting on weekends and in the summer. And as that business grew and we started a family kind of at the same time, Patrick, my husband, was the one who said, just do photography, just pursue that a little bit more and enjoy it. And again, it was never meant to be what you see it as. I never thought 10 years. First of all, that'd be on a podcast because we didn't know what that meant 10 years ago. But that anything from the education standpoint or in this realm that I would be connecting with cool professionals like you, Paige, like across the country, and partnering up together to help educate my fellow creatives, and just the way that honestly God's opened the doors for it is beyond me. And so I'm always humbled for experiences like this and the opportunity to talk to other creatives and hopefully, right, just shed some light on the ways that in the past 10 years I have failed and the lessons I've learned, and hope to keep people from falling into those same holes and give them a little bit of a leg up, literally, that I didn't necessarily have. So
I love that. Yeah, it's funny, Alisha. I actually just did recording for a solo podcast episode, like of a reflection on my photography season for 2019, my wedding season.
Yeah.
Because lots of people know that I only took on like a small amount of weddings this year, and I just ended it. Montana, I'm from Montana, and all of our weddings are pretty much in like spring, summer, and fall. Like we have kind of a 6-month window, and that's it.
Right.
So it's really interesting because you say like, I always want to teach people like the do's and don'ts and like, what we've experienced and how to become better because of it. And I love reflecting on like, not only just this year, but the past 6-8 years that I've been doing this too. And being like, it's a learning lesson every single time that you pick up your camera and go to an event, work with a client. Like everyone's different. Every situation is different. So I love that you are giving that to people that you educate now, especially because, like I said, you are a seasoned professional. You've been doing this for a long time.
You're the sweetest thing ever. No, I feel like I've got just the biggest cheerleader in the podcast. I'm just going to put you in my pocket, Paige, and keep you forever. But it's really true. And it's actually, I went to a small liberal arts college. And one of my favorite things, and it's still inscribed on a bench on campus, is, people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. Mm-hmm. And that was carried on through me, and it's very heavy teaching college in regards to their educational program. And I think a lot of it, in hindsight, people ask me, well, do you feel like you wasted time going to grad school for education, or, the 3 years you taught? And I honestly, now can see all of those pieces coming together and how that was woven together so nicely, because that foundation is a big part for me as a creative. It's not just launching how many e-courses can I launch, or, how many PDFs can we put out for passive income. There truly is the hope there to help other creatives get a business that they can really thrive in and love and continue learning from. And so, I think if I hadn't have had that educational background and gone to the school I did, and, everything worked together like it was supposed to. But yeah, I definitely believe in lifelong learning. And, 10 years in, I am still learning things, and I never, ever plan to stop getting better, but then also being humbled by my own experiences and my own mistakes, because they are abundant. So.
I could just listen to you all day long. Your Southern accent is the best thing in the entire world. I wish I had one. I just have like,
what are you talking about? There's no accent.
People say I have one, and I was like, I'm from Montana. But it's like a northern, I don't know what they call it, something.
It's Middle Eastern. I don't know. I just like the most classic American accent. I just love it.
You're the best. Okay, I am interested, and I'm sure everyone listening in is like, okay, so 10 years ago, where did you start? Like, what did you start shooting? If you could just kind of give us a photography trajectory for us of what you started shooting, how you niched down, and where you're at now.
Love that. Absolutely. What a fun time of self-reflection too. So I did major in art in college. And so I did have that experience now, and I will say that advantage that, I paid my dues in the dark room. I had a 35mm camera and, shot numerous rolls of film through my photography classes. And then coming out of undergrad and being in grad school is really when the DSLRs were first hitting the consumer market. And so I would shoot with other photographers who had these DSLRs and, second shoot. And truly, no lie, they would give me $50 to second shoot a wedding with them. And I thought I was making bank as a college student, and also like getting to shoot an actual wedding. And I was like, and I'm getting to hold their DSLR, which is just so cool because no one could afford them as a consumer yet. These were like the first ones on the market. So starting off then, that for me, that was the first taste of photography. It really was weddings professionally. And I was convinced I did not want to do weddings. So whenever I went to purchase my first DSLR, it was kind of my own graduation present from grad school to myself. I decided I want to do families and children. And we were, in a small community, different friends, and knowing that I had come from an art background already, would ask me like, "Oh, can you take pictures for us?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have one of those new cool cameras." And so I just felt like, okay, I need to get a digital camera. Mm-hmm. And so I literally would charge $40 for my first session, and that was after doing like 100 at no cost. And I think about a year went by, and I was still second shooting, and I enjoyed that, but it really was in hindsight. Now, I didn't know this, first of all, from lack of maturity, right? And then also just the terms we know now, it was a self-limiting belief. I had convinced myself, Alisha, you're not good enough to shoot weddings. They're too hard. You can't direct them. There's too much going on. And yes, there is so much to a wedding day, and you do need to respect that as a photographer and be ready for it. But I mean, I had been second shooting at this point for 3 years. So I had kind of limited myself by saying, you can't do that. And had a dear teacher friend who was definitely on a budget, and said, I need a wedding photographer, Alisha. It's very small. This is what it is. And I said, okay, great. $500, I'm in. And so shot that first one. And I was like, wait, okay, I do like being the lead. I do like helping people feel comfortable. And, it's not the direction that I saw, honestly, as the second photographer, that a lot of times the leads were a little overwhelming, domineering, and demanding. And I knew that wasn't my personality. And I think that's why I was always taken aback, because I was like, well, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be harsh and that directive. And so I learned my own shooting style, being able to love people through the direction and making them feel comfortable, and learning that experience of how they feel through the pictures not only shows in the final product, but honestly, that's where our successes come from. The reviews, the testimonials, they look back and remember the experience really more so than the pretty pictures. And so right. I think it was just a self-limiting belief that I couldn't do weddings. I didn't want to be that kind of photographer because I didn't want to be harsh and direct and make people feel uncomfortable. And so it was finding my own voice as a photographer and a wedding photographer more than anything. And really, once I kind of get over my own fears, wedding photography, telling that story, using my love for the narrative, it quickly just sunk in, and I knew that's where I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to focus on.
I love that. And how many years ago was it that you shot your first wedding?
So that literally was 10 years ago. I was, almost more than that, Paige, because I was expecting Bryant.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be 10 in September. He'll be 10 years old next month. And he was literally in my tummy. I was 4 months pregnant. And so, you're pregnant for seems like a decade, but it's actually only 2 months. So at that time, so he's almost 10 years old. So really close to 11 years ago was when I shot my first wedding as a lead. And so,
That's crazy.
And I spent and who would know? Because we have 3 children. I think that's in my bio, but we have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old as of yesterday, and an almost 10-year-old. And so I've spent the last decade not only starting this business and growing it to where you see it now, but also having a litter of children. So that's been another great another great adventure, and always happy to share about that mom work life. So.
Oh yes. Seriously, you guys, we're not going to get into it in this episode, but Alisha is a wealth of information for being a mom boss as well. And yeah, she has 3 little kids and has run and grown this insanely successful photography business. So reach out to her if you have questions on that. And I'm sure, Alisha, you'll talk about this on other podcast episodes. So I'm sure there's other ways you can tune into that.
Yes.
Did Patrick always shoot with you?
So whenever this is also, you have to remember, I was 12 years old when we got married. Kidding, but this is Alabama. We did start dating when I was 16. Okay. And Patrick's almost 4 years older than I am. So we started dating, and luckily for me, he is the complete opposite in regards to his intellect. He is a mechanical engineer. He's incredibly talented in math and numbers and everything that I'm not. So through college, it's how I got through the few math classes I had to take. It's honestly, any of you guys who have done, true film photography and had to do the dark room and learn the elements of it, there's a lot of math involved in exposure when you're learning it from the, very primal essence of how photography is made up. And of course, as an art student, we had to learn it that way. And I literally turned to Patrick and I was like, okay, tell me the things. What does this mean? So because at this point we were married, I was already married. I was 19 when we got married. And so Patrick was working, mechanical engineer. And he, anything in college that I needed help with like this, it was my go-to. So it's no different than asking him for help with pre-cal, right? Mm-hmm. Well, very quickly though, we realized Patrick not only can figure out the math behind photography, but he was wonderful behind the camera too, in regards to his perspective and his framing and a lot of it that I was really strong at, from the lighting, understanding, and the composition. I was sharing that with him. He was sharing with me the different ways of implementing, the mechanics behind it. So it started off, as it should, just as a fun hobby for both of us at that time. Then I'm still in college, and we would play golf together and take the camera with us, and take pictures, and that was just one of our together activities. And whenever I shot the first wedding, because I was 4 months pregnant, he insisted, no, I'm going to be there, and he knew the people too, but he helped me. And I was like, wow, I really loved having you with me. Like, that was awesome. Mm-hmm. And so I had a couple more small weddings that year while expecting, which is the best way to start your photography business, is while you're growing your first child. I'll just really encourage everyone to try that. And so as my body is like growing a human for the first time, I'm also growing a business for the first time. And but Patrick was, lovingly very protective and wanted to be with me at the weddings. And so he would come along, and, because of our time, like we had been shooting together for fun, he was like, oh, I'll take the camera and get some of the guys in here, and, you stay in here with the girls while they get ready. And honestly, it was so organic how it evolved. And there were a few weddings where I had a different second shooter when we started getting legit and actually having a second photographer. And finally I turned to him and I was like, babe, I just love having you there, and you balance me out so well, not just from the photography side, but, the way his personality complements mine. And so it really started as something, again, that we did together just for the sake of being together. And over the years, if you look at our portfolio, and I say this all the time, and look at our Instagram, some of my strongest pictures are not from my camera. They're from Patrick's. And I love getting to come in and upload cards after the wedding day and, uncover all the gems like he's captured, because I don't know what he's capturing, right, on his camera. And I'm like, what the crap? I'm like, Patrick, this is amazing. He's like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, sure. And then again, like, there's this great element because, he did a film, like off camera lighting for film. He did that course recently when we were at the Hybrid Collective, and he understands the ins and outs of things like that way more than I do. And then he teaches them to me the way as I hope other creatives, I don't think I'm alone in that, need to be taught. And so he's our lighting guy. He's our equipment guy when it comes to, if I'm like, hey, we're looking at this new camera body, give me the lowdown on it. Go read everything. Tell me what you think. And so I trust him fully on, picking out our equipment. Anytime we upgrade things, he's really the go-to. So I could not imagine, and we've talked about it some, because he does have a full job. We've talked about him coming on with me full time. That pension and retirement and those benefits, though, man, they are lovely, and I just don't think we'll ever give this up. And he's really good at what he does. He's a project manager, mechanical engineer, and he's just really smart, Paige. I mean, I know he's my husband, and you're supposed to say nice things about your spouse, but I really mean it. He's so intelligent and just such a hard worker. So if he was in a job he didn't love, I would be like, yes, ACP, we'll take you on. Come on, we'll hire you. But he loves what he does there. He loves what he does shooting with me. I handle everything in the office, though, so that gives a reprieve. So Patrick's with me on the wedding days, but then office editing, all of the ins and outs of the business. We just hired our first full-time employee. I know we'll talk about that a little bit, but Anna and I are the ones doing everything office-wise. So he's just a pretty boy who shows up on Saturday and takes gorgeous pictures. It's whatever. Love that.
Patrick is the best. I can totally testify to that. I was just thinking, we all need a Patrick in our lives. And, you guys are the perfect combo together. I have hung out with both of you. It's just the yin to the yang. You guys work so well together. I mean, I wish Marco and I could do this.
I know.
We tried to integrate him into my business, and it's just like not a good fit. And I love him and want to keep like our personal life and our business life separate. And lots of people are like that, but I envy the Alisha and Patrick's and the Caitlin and Michael's and the Amy and Jordan's. Like, you guys are you're so good and you mesh so well together. And it's really it's awesome and a miracle that as a husband and wife team, you guys can work so well together.
We can work well and actually enjoy it because we are so different. And they're, in the same sense, like, when it comes to deciding, where to hang the TV, like we could be in a 2-hour fight about that. But then we're shooting wedding days seamlessly. And I'm like, what? Like, how can we be together for 12 hours like that? And it's just like this beautiful dance now for the past 10 years. Like, it's turned into honestly, just a really great natural dance between us. But yeah, we definitely fight. And like everything else in life, it seems like the craziest things can turn into because we are so different. And, but somehow this miraculously through photography, like it's brought us closer. It's just like a beautiful dance that it happens really, really well. So I'm very thankful for that. Believe me, I know that is not the norm. And people ask me all the time, I'm like, I have no advice. It's a God thing because Patrick Crossley and I are so different and that this just works perfectly. And our strengths play off of each other's weaknesses, and it's just good. So yeah.
The best. I love it. Okay. So let's turn now to Preview and Prosecco because I'm really interested in how this came about, where it was kind of when it was rolling around in your head, how you first started to serve clients with it, and then where it is at now. And you guys, this is kind of the meat of this episode. And Alisha is a genius when it came to this service concept for her clients.
I will say this, just backstory there, that it was very affirming. Paige and I first met. She was helping oversee a mastermind that I'm part of. And I was telling the idea behind it, right? Like giving the synopsis of it. And you were like, what? This is amazing. And I knew you were a genius. So I was like, okay, Paige thinks it's awesome. She's a genius. This is a good idea. And so it was so affirming. Like, it was just one of the, you know what I mean? Like, you have the people like you definitely bring your ideas to, and you were a very big piece of just like seeing your reaction to it and you being like, this is genius. I'm like, okay, you're honest and you're smart. I totally trust you. So this is going to be a good thing. So I just wanted to say that real quick. I really appreciated that moment.
I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so smart. And I know you're just like in the beginning stages of really like talking about this with the world. But yeah, some of you listening in are kind of hearing about this probably for the first time and how it can be utilized in your photography business. So really, really listen into what Alisha's going to teach. So Alisha, where did this like start? Like,
absolutely. Well, So like I was saying, one of the limiting beliefs I had with becoming a wedding photographer was like, you have to be domineering, you have to be so in charge. And that's just the photographers I shot for. That's how their style, that's how they approach the wedding day. And I knew we wanted to create an experience for our clients, not just pictures. And moving in to becoming a wedding photographer, very intentional over the years. And, I've really fine-tuned the process. And again, I'm still, always learning how to cultivate this experience even better. It's not just gifting, but we definitely do focus on intentional gifting. Whenever our clients come in for a consult, if we have consults, a lot of times now, honestly, we're booked directly through planners, or, we don't do as many consults as we used to, but we would do a consult gift, a welcome gift. We have a whole nother series for a 1-year anniversary gift that's very intentional and very thought out. So we're spending all this time throughout the process, taking our clients to dinner. They're here local to get to know them. Patrick and I sit down with the bride and groom, or the bride and bride, the groom and groom, what have you, and be able to really get them comfortable, give them a night to just enjoy being together, see how they interact. And all of this, again, just really cultivating an experience that says you're treasured, you're important to us, we want to get to know you, we want to know your story so we can tell it visually. And, I loved and honestly felt very, very sure that we were doing a great job of that. And then the wedding day comes and it's great. It's terrific. We're definitely in there together doing this whole husband-wife dance. And then we say, great guys, have a wonderful honeymoon. We're going to email you your complete final product. And it just felt so unfinished, right? It just felt so abrupt because we've spent so much time. We only take 15 weddings a year. We have an associate team, and that we do take weddings in addition to our 15 through the associate team. But we take 15 a year, and it's so we can really cultivate these relationships, get to know them, get to love on them. And it was like this missing link at the end. We've spent all this time and we've really helped nurture a relationship. And then we're going to email you. So I honestly, Paige, it was never intended to be anything that was increasing my bottom line, right? Whenever I first made it. But the cool thing is, and one of my favorite books, no one sponsors me but Patrick Crossley, by the way. And I sponsor him. So, but Seth Godin, This is Marketing. That was a very Southern accent there. This is Marketing is one of my favorite books I've read in the last couple of years. And understanding that what we were doing the whole time is meeting our clients' pain points, right? And I'll talk a little bit more about that through our discussion here. But we identified in our process that there was a missing link. That's where our clients, we would email them and there were questions. Well, how do I download? If I want to order an album, Alisha, how do I do that? Like, how can I share these? Where do you recommend, for us to, what size? How does this work? And honestly, with our, a lot of times with our parents of the couple, there were even more questions. There's a little bit more of a technology gap. And I just felt like we were doing a disservice and I wasn't sure how to remedy that. So the thing that I came up with this was, well, we need to do a reveal. We need to have an in-person party to celebrate them seeing their images the first time, and for us to educate them on how to use their gallery, how to download, how to print, and if they want to do an album, have an opportunity for them to sit down and look at it. At the beginning, whenever you book a client versus the time frame that goes by to the wedding, they do not remember your album samples. They do not remember probably that you even had albums, you're talking about the difference of usually 10, 12 months. And you're then saying, okay, now you can order an album, or even if you have it included in your collection, they're not going to remember what it was that you had on the front end. So we've become very simplistic in how we approach this. We do wedding day coverage, and then we encourage our clients not to even think about products until the reveal party. We say, we'll share with them our heirloom menu. We're not trying to hide pricing or anything like that, but we don't want them to worry about anything other than getting their wedding day covered and getting this process started. And then we handhold through this. So Preview Prosecco was really it really came about as the answer to our client's pain point. Okay. And that's what I would encourage any creative to do, is look at where are your clients, where are the questions coming from? And if you're not sure what your client's pain points are, you can probably go to your inbox and look and see what questions you're receiving the most. Where are people confused? And how can you create an answer to the questions that's more streamlined, more efficient for your business, and then also a lot more accessible for them, so there's not confusion. We're trying to eliminate confusion. So Paige, to wrap that up though, we started this, and the first few, I even offered it to our brides who had already seen images, just, do you guys want to come in, me help you answer some of these questions in person, bring friends and family. We offered a $200 album credit if they came to the party to be used towards an heirloom album. We usually have a few 5x7s as a gift to them. And then we do just like a really pretty savor board of cheese and meats. And then of course, Prosecco, it's Preview Prosecco. And so the first one that we did, they left, they're happy, we're happy, we get to love on them some more. We really solidify this final experience. And I had a $3,500 check in my hand. And I remember looking at it like, wait, what? Like what just happened? And so going back to the business marketing book and really starting to dig into, what it means to serve versus sell, when you're meeting your clients' pain points, when you're effectively identifying them and doing something about them, that's how business works, is you're going to make money. So I think sometimes, some people have said, well, that just takes so much time. And you do this for every couple. And I'm like, yes, we offer it and it's not required, but you're offering to do something loving and amazing. That's only going to make you look that much better. And so, our clients then have responded, just like with any business that's serving you well and meeting your pain points, then that makes that bottom line go up naturally. So for us, it's just been very affirming because, our sales have increased dramatically. We're putting heirloom products in our clients' hands, which is very important to us. We want them to have tangible prints that, not just the files that are living on their computer. It's meeting several of our objectives. And our clients are leaving now even happier than they were prior to us implementing this final step. It's made our testimonials that much stronger. It's made, our referrals, even though we're pretty much, referral based, like as far as our clients, where they're coming from. Now we have people, and this was affirming just last week, we had a bride, a planner book a bride, and she messaged and she said, Alisha, our bride just wants to make sure Preview and Prosecco is included. It wasn't on the contract. Does she need to pay extra for that? And I was like, no, that's totally included. But we will start putting it in the contract, because now our brides are getting wind that this is a service we have.
Expect it.
They're booking us because we do this. And that's just like, wow. I mean, that added value, that added element, that's creating buzz. And that is something unique. And brides are really starting to catch on that they're requesting it, that they're like, hey, do I need to pay extra for it? And I'm like, no, that's just part of our service, but yeah, we'll put it in your contract. So that was affirming to see that, new inquiries are actually asking for it now.
Yeah. And I just love that you can really see what your clients need from kind of this bird's eye view. And for all of you listening in, this is something that I did, I can tell you an example here. When Alisha was talking about this for the first time with me, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like, if that is hitting home with you right now, that this is a pain point with your wedding clients, then I would suggest you add something similar into your business. You don't have to necessarily do exactly what Alisha does, because of course, the way she is serving her clients is very in tune with Alabama brides, Southern brides, it's exactly what they want. And I know we were kind of talking about Alisha. I was like, okay, so I think my clients want this. And the biggest eye opener for me is when you were like, are they just living online as digital files forever? And I said, yes. Like I ran into one of my clients at Target because I live in a smaller town. It's like 60,000 people.
Also Target is the best ever. So whatever. Like,
we're not plugging all these places.
No,
we're not promoting them.
That's Target if you're listening.
We just love Target.
Alisha love you and you should sponsor us. So it's great. Whatever.
So I ran into her like in the Joanna Gaines home decor section.
Right, of course.
And she was like, oh my gosh, you've just been so awesome. And her daughter was there. And like, I have been taking family photos for them forever. And I will never forget when she was like, gosh, I really need to print these and get them up on my house. I swear it has been like a year and a half since you sent me the gallery. And like those type of moments is when and that was like a family session. But I just think, and like, if I look on, I use Pixie Set, again, not promoting them, but I use them. And like, you can look at your notifications and like what they've downloaded, what they're doing, are they buying? And like, the problem is we live in such a digital world now that, like you said, the parents and the aunts and the uncles and like sometimes grandparents, I mean, they expect some type of tangible product, but they don't even know how to ask. They don't know how to get it. They don't know what's out there. I mean, there's a plethora of like heirloom tangible products out there that you could give to your clients.
Yes.
And then
a whole other discussion, honestly, is, that's one question we get is like, how do I decide, Alisha? Like, how do I even start deciding what is a tangible product? And that's one thing we've started doing is, photographers coming to us and us helping them customize like an heirloom menu, like based on their market, what their clients are asking for, what their price point is. And you have to be mindful of that. We definitely are at the, for our market, the upper, our pricing is, on the elevated side of our market here in Birmingham, Alabama. And we do have more expensive albums and the suppliers we've chosen, and so but the great thing is, Paige, even when I was charging $500 10 years ago, I could have implemented this and I could have used suppliers that did not have, that met that price point, because there was just a plethora, and this, of photo labs that you can choose from. Mm-hmm. And you should be serving your clients if you are service-based and service-minded. And I will say, I think that is 100% where the success we have has come from. Our average investment now is $14,000. So if that says anything, not to be pretentious and not to just throw numbers out there, but just to show from the $500 10 years ago to our $14K investment, nothing crazy has been done from an advertising standpoint. We have not, this was before ads were a thing on Facebook or Instagram, anything like that. Everything has been service oriented. And even my $500 bride, my first bride, we were learning how to love on them, how to take care of them in a very intentional way, not just gifting, not just making it a fluffy experience. I think a lot of times our practical photographers, they're like, well, I just don't want to, I'm just not a fluffy photographer. You don't have to be fluffy. Preview and Prosecco is not a fluffy experience. It is very intentional. It is an educational experience. And so I think that in our industry, there's got to be an alignment of understanding that service means educating. And a lot of times we take it for granted that because we understand all of this, we understand albums are a possibility. We understand professional printing. We get that this is how you download from Pass or Pixie Set. We take it for granted that our clients would understand that because it's so second nature for us. But these are things that truly, not all clients, and especially, again, at least where we are, our parents are very much involved in the process. And our parents are the ones typically writing the check, and they're the ones who are the most confused. So you want to clear up confusion for the people who are giving you money. So that way they are happy, you are happy, you're making money. And it's not a fluffy process. It's just the difference. To me, the idea of, luxury experience, we equate that so much with money, right? And really, if you look at it, luxury means providing a level of comfort that isn't necessary. That can be done, again, at that $500 price point or the $10,000 price point. You can create a level of comfort that's not necessary for a client on any budget. And that then is a luxury experience.
Yeah. And one of the things that's really hit home, and I'm kind of going to sum this up, is like you've told me this term before too, but the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
And our clients, like, of course, they don't know where to get these products. Like, we think it's so second nature to us. Like, of course, you would just like go onto this website and order this, or like, this is how you download. But hand-holding them through that process, of course, is going to have them in turn hand you over a check because you just did it all for them. And I know that when you were telling me about Preview and Prosecco, you're like, well, Paige, it's not like this, the bad connotation of in-person sales. From our perspective as the photographers or as the sellers is like, we're just doing this to get money. But of course, you flip it on its head and you're like, I'm just serving my clients and they cannot choose what they want because there's so many options out there, like on the World Wide Web, and so many like places you can get albums and places you can print. They don't know what's best. Like, I have had so many clients be like, do I print on Mixbook, Shutterfly? Like, Artifact Uprising. Like, I don't know where to print, Paige. Like, have you had experience with this? Exactly. And I love that, like, you just bring your clients in after they've had this joyous wedding day occasion.
Yes.
They either come to your house or you go to theirs sometimes too, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we just moved into our new home 2 weeks ago. And one of the reasons we chose it is I have now this beautiful, like, light-filled office that even has a little fireplace in it. It's like so adorable. And we have an off-site office. That was a lot. Okay. An off-site office at a wedding venue actually downtown. And usually our reveals are held there. We're going to start doing them home-based. It just fits more so with our entire process and just the, relational element. So I'm going to start hosting them here at the house as we get the office, decked out and ready to go. But we do have some clients who, will even ask us, and this is probably one of the biggest things I hear photographers say of why it's not going to work for them. Like, oh, well, most of my clients are out of town. Like,
yes.
And we've had people fly us to them. We've had people pay for travel because they're like, we want to do a preview party. That is awesome. Like, can you come to us? I'm like, sure. For this amount of travel. Absolutely. And it's really cool to see that, again, that excitement, that level of, hype over it. And even the clients who don't get to come and experience this, because we do have some that are further away, that are, of course, in the midst of maybe, getting their medical degrees, and they're just busy. It still makes us shine that we're sending an email saying you're invited to your personalized reveal party. There's no obligation to attend. Please let us know if you're interested, and we'll send a customized questionnaire to help with your party planning. And they're like, wow, Alisha, I'm so sad I can't come, but thank you for this opportunity. And I've tried to drive home to a lot of photographers who are like, well, I'm mostly, most of my clients are out of town. I'm like, well, it's only making you look better to create something like this that allows them to see that you care about it. And then what it's allowed us to do, Paige, is, we'll say, well, we hate that you can't come, but we've put a $200 album credit on your account. And we're in the middle now creating a little video with a videographer. And it's basically going through the process of, explaining heirloom products and how to order, and showing them a video of using their gallery. But it's from us, so it's very personalized. And so for our clients who are out of town and who say we can't come, or we can't have you come to us because of schedule, we're sending out this video now that's going to walk them through the process. And so that's my answer to that is, oh, hate that you can't come, but here's a quick 2-minute video for you to watch to help you get started. And here's $200 on your account for your heirloom album. So watch this, and we'll be in touch with you within 3 business days to go ahead and get started on your heirloom album. We've learned speaking that album to existence is one way to really get it into their hands. Again, for us, it's not just, the money-making ability, which is fine. Your business. It's not evil to make money, guys. If you really believe too what you're selling your client is benefiting and enriching their lives, you're not going to feel icky about it. I love heirloom albums, love them. And Paige, like you were saying, so many of my clients up until that point were saying, oh yeah, it's been 3 years. We haven't printed off our pictures. It broke my heart because I have children now, right? And I love seeing them sit down with our albums and, our pictures all over the house and asking like, was I in your tummy here? And, where's Thad, Mom? Why is he not in this one? And it's like, well, he wasn't here yet. But it's just cool to like see in our season how impactful those printed tangible products are. And I know our couples are a little bit removed from that. We want that to be in their home to help extend that generational experience. So speaking that album into existence, even with the clients who, again, or maybe they were destination or they're out of town and they can't come to this party, they can still be educated better on how to do, how to order and kind of streamlining this process. It's made it easier for us. It's cleared up the confusion on our side. And it's definitely been affirmed by the bottom line, the profit that we're seeing from it.
Yes. Seriously, you're just solving all of your clients' pain points, whether it's like bringing them into your home and just offering like this album and these products and like you just educate them, you're showing them an album like on the screen, whatever it is. There's so many different ways to do like a preview party is kind of like in summation what you're talking about. And then being able to do it remotely and how you can also serve clients that can't come in and can't do this. And I'm just going to like round this out here and tell everyone, I mean, Alisha and I could probably talk about this for hours, but
I can talk to you, Paige, for hours. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're actually on a podcast. This is just not a personal phone call. Like I'm trying to be mindful, but you know me, I'm definitely chatty. So
no, it's perfect because everyone's learning so much, but I just wanted people to know, like Alisha first told me about this in January.
Yeah.
It was the first time I had kind of met Alisha. I'd heard about her. We have very similar industry friends. And I was like, okay, I got to meet this Southern awesome lady. And then she told me about this and she kind of gave me just like a few steps, like as we're talking about here, on how I could ponder it and figure out how it could work for my clients. So then all I did, you guys, was like reach out on Instagram. I put a post up and was like, hey, if any of my clients from 2018 would like to like come to my house and like have some snacks, and you could bring your mom, you can bring your, grandmother, you can bring your best friend, like whomever, because then it really makes them feel more comfortable, right? It's not just like the client and you sitting down and like deciding what album and like.
I'm like, bring your friends, like that we in our little invite. And that's something where, Paige, we're in the middle of just like that kind of beta thing that I said to you, like telling you how we're doing it. And we have the little invitation we sent out and it explains all of that. Like, bring your friends, bring your family. And then we send a Q&A asking how many people so we can be prepared with the right amount of cheese. That's a Southern thing. You never want to be caught without enough food at a party. That is like completely one of the worst, like, oh, I can't even tell you. So anyways, yes, like bring the people. And so you sent this out to your crew, to your audience.
It was like you just want to make it a party and like fun. And also I was doing it like a year later. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? And Alisha was like, she was like, just put it out there, Paige, and see who like bites. And almost everyone did. They were like, oh my gosh, this sounds so cool. No one has heard of it in my area. No one's offering it. Like, again, photography services often end after the event. And like, that's the end of the story. And it's very sad. And like, you're not serving your clients anymore. And then I had someone come over and I had no idea what I was doing, but I did I put it on my Alisha pants and was like, okay, I'm just trying to help them, serve them. I like went through their gallery. I made like a very simple, like mock wedding album for them, like very simple. Like it was like, 10 spreads. Yeah. And I just like simply put things in there just so they could envision it coming to life. And then I told them like, of course we can like modify this to all of your favorite photos. And then I like showed them how to favorite the photos and how the whole process works. And then I did what Alisha said is like, I gave them just for showing up, like prints, like tangible prints. And I like bought some nicer frames and they could like take them home and literally set them up in their house. And And after that, they spent money on albums and more prints because, again, it was like just hitting the pain point home, having an experience with me that I think they were like, again, like, you're super fun to work with, like you're really awesome, like through the whole wedding process. And then of course day of, and then it's over. And I think they're sad about it. And then they just like keep their photos online. And then that's sad, is they don't print them. They don't know how to print them. They don't know like what is good printing. And I think lots of my clients, like I give them a print release. I think you do too, right?
Yeah. And that's the other thing. A lot of people ask me because, again, I think there is, and I know photographers that I adore who are having amazing success using IPS. So I never want to knock that, or, that's just, it's a different business model. And IPS for me, and I think for a lot of other people who don't implement it had such a negation. And, I was like, well, I don't want anyone to feel pressured. Right. But what we're doing, and is really quite the injustice, is by not providing, any kind of education on it, because of the fear of it being too much pressure, we're actually we're not serving them properly. And so, if you really believe heirloom products are, like you're saying, Paige, necessary for their home, it enriches the experience, then you're not pressuring, you're not selling, you're servicing. And when you start wrapping your mind around your business as like a true service rather than something you're pressuring people to buy, it changes your approach to it. So even with our photography, right? Like where we're at in our market and what we, with our investment, I know we're providing a very enriched experience. I don't have that limited belief anymore of, I hate to ask someone to pay this much. I hate to ask someone to invest this much just for us. That is a limiting belief. And so I think a lot of photographers get held up on, I hate to ask them to pay more. I hate to ask them. No, like you're going about it wrong mentally. Your clients, just like with you as a consumer, you want to have these solid experiences. Professional photography is a luxury experience. If we go to, a white tablecloth dining experience, there are things that we want. We want them to tell us the specials. We want to be offered dessert. We want to know, what is the wine list like this month? We want to know these things because we want to have the full experience. If we were just handed a menu and told, now here's what you can order and best of luck, we would feel a little bit in the dark. We would feel a little bit gypped because we are spending a lot of money and it is a nice experience. And we want to have all the bells and whistles, if you will, at least be given the option to, right? And I can't tell you how many times, and I talk about this with photographers, I've always asked to see the dessert list. I don't always order dessert, but I'm like, I like to see what's available, right? And our clients need to know and deserve to know what's available. How can we help them? How can, what are their options? Even if they don't, and we don't always have people at the preview party be like, yes, take my money, let's buy albums. But they always walk away feeling more treasured, more loved, more served. And that's really where our heart for it started. And if you keep that perspective, that's the difference in between IPS. We're not sitting down saying you have to buy tonight. We do give them advantages for purchasing on the preview party and then within the 7 days of the preview party, because for me, it helps mainstream my workflow. It keeps it more efficient, not to have to archive their images and go back and try to remember it a year from their wedding when they order an album. Right. It's much more efficient for us in our office to be able to keep this workflow very, very much the process that we like just on hand. So we do provide these credits, which I think, again, has a better connotation than discount. We provide these credits as a, making it more attractive to go ahead and get this order started. Also letting them know, like, you don't pick your pictures tonight, like you're not having to decide everything, just that, yes, to an album order or to whatever it is you're wanting to order, and get us started so we can put this into our workflow. We use HoneyBooks, by the way, and I actually am an affiliate for HoneyBooks. That's one person who does give me some kind of advantage. But I'm not plugging them there. Sorry. Didn't mean to do. But I do love HoneyBooks. We started using them and then we became an affiliate. we put it into our workflow in HoneyBooks then, and we can keep it updated and keep monitoring it instead of 2 years later, someone messaging and saying, hey, I think we want to order an album now. And us having to be like, wait, let's remember that day. What was important? Why, like, what do we need to pull back from? And where's your gallery? And, it's just, so it keeps everything more to the forefront when we're able to go ahead and handle it and be efficient with it.
Perfect. Well, everyone like listening in, Alicia's just like dropped a bomb on you on like how you can serve your clients better. That's not necessarily an IPS like way to do it, but it's a different way of just serving, loving on them, hitting home with their pain points and being able to be on the other side of that and getting rid of those pain points. So if you have further questions about like a preview party or how Alisha does this, I'm sure she would be happy to chat with you more. And we will make sure it's Alisha Crossley Photography, and we'll make sure that we link her in this episode. Alisha, before we end our talk here today, because again, you and I could talk forever, I always like to end my guest episodes because it is the Legal Paige podcast and I am a lawyer. After all, I am a photographer as well. We've kind of talked about that nonstop on this episode. But I always am like, okay, you've learned so much in your time. And I know we could probably talk about like contracts and hiring a team, but I feel like we should just leave that for like your reprise episode because I feel like that's going to happen.
I hope so. I want to come back, Paige. Let me come back.
Yes, totally. And those are kind of two very different discussions, but I know a big legal lesson that you've learned that you were talking about was like how you have more intangible property now. And I haven't had this conversation with very many guests. And so I think this would be a good way to end our episode today is like, so now you have Preview and Prosecco. You obviously like have your logo, you have your name of your photography business, like you have registered your business. What is like a legal lesson that you've learned through all of this with intangible property?
Absolutely. So again, it was just such perfect timing, Paige, like when your friendship and professional oversight came in here because, I'm telling you a Preview Prosecco and you're like, Alisha, this is awesome, but hello, like this is a terminology that you want to be able to lock down and we need to trademark this. And I was like, oh yes, that does. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense now, but I never would have thought about it. Right. And so, having that education background and moving a little bit more with our decade of experience into helping other creatives and coming up with some of these terminologies and, the different things that we need to protect, I'm beginning to learn that there's a whole nother legal world stepping into the education side of things and, the different courses that we see from like the e-courses, right, is what the terminology. And you've got to protect yourself in that realm too, because, there's a difference in between educating and helping other creatives. And then of course, just totally your ideas being replicated. So like we've talked with Preview and Prosecco, that's a term that we want to be known for. We want that to be something our brides and people we educate are like, oh, Preview Prosecco, Alisha Crossley, like it's synonymous. So to keep that level of branding, we did have to seek out trademarking, and Paige was, guys, just absolutely the handheld experience that we talk about that we like to provide our clients. That's what I feel like Paige is able to do from the legal side of it. And why we're such a fan, seriously. And so, because that's one of the things for me, like I don't have that knowledge. And over the last 10 years, we have learned how critical it is. And honestly, and this is one thing I would definitely say from things that we've learned and, how we've progressed, a lot of our contract clauses over the 10 years have come about because of actual situations, right? Like we've learned from hypothetical things, like things actually happening, like, oh, we need a clause for that. Oh, we need a clause for that. How I would have loved in hindsight, 10 years ago when I started to have had a page that I could have said, Paige, for a very reasonable amount. If you guys have not been on her store, it is crazy reasonable, the contracts that she offers and the things that she offers for you, to have had this kind of service. Honestly, 10 years ago, these weren't things that existed, to be quite frank. Like there wasn't, people who were photographers and you are a little unicorn, Page, because of this, like a photographer who also is like a actual attorney, like that's a beautiful combination. And so there, the reach now with the internet and what we have with the education side of the creative business, and I wish people really appreciated that. I feel like a person saying, like, I'm like, I wish these youngsters really appreciated what they got now, because we didn't have that 10 years ago. And so a lot of what I had to do from contracts and on the photography side was by, learning through the mistakes. So yeah, I just went off on a tangent there, got on a soapbox about why the contracts are so necessary, true, and us learning more about trademarking and really impactful and very, very eye-opening as we go into more of the education side of things, like what we need to be mindful of as we sell courses, and the type of agreements that we'll need. And there's just a whole nother layer of it,
Yeah, honestly, I just want to wrap this up by saying, like, thank you. You kind of just gave me an idea for a really awesome solo episode, because I think people are going into this like e-commerce world, e-course world. When you become an educator, like you said, like you're thinking more about trademarks and copyrights. And that's what I want people to start thinking about. And I'll definitely dive into that more, you guys, in a follow-up episode probably. But what Alisha is saying is, like, she didn't really even know for the past 10 years, what intangible properties she owned, what she should own, like why it's important. So I think we'll just leave this here. Like, if you're becoming an educator or you're interested in it, or you're like selling something online in a store, like e-commerce store, or you're like you're thinking about courses, like anything in that realm, it would behoove you to like talk with an attorney, chat with someone that has been in that world before, just so you can start like pondering in your head all of these things that you need to start thinking about that you probably haven't even it hasn't been a part of your brain at all. And I know that like trademarking in particular I am a trademark attorney and I do that for my clients, and it's served them so well because it gives you, it has a monetary value when you register a trademark and you're able to like own that. And of course, I'm not going to go into it. There's like common law protections that you have protections, of course, on like a phrase or a mark or a term if you don't register, but registration is great. So we'll just leave that there and let people kind of think about that.
So much there. And we're still in the middle of it, right? We're developing, we're writing content now for a 2020, how's it already 2020 or getting to be there. But we're literally in the middle of it. And that's, these are lessons like I am in the midst of soaking up. And like you said, from others that have, a separate past who've already done it. And then coming back to you saying, okay, Paige, so I know we need a download agreement, right? When someone gets a course, like we need something that says, here are the, these are the terms, like you can get your money back once you download it, or what, like all the different things, because we are fortunate enough to be in a really positive, creative community, and people telling us, some of the stories that how they learned by actual events that, weren't so ideal. And that's the thing, is you have to be aware of it. And honestly, I wish creatives understood, especially, those first 5 years. I know there's so much to invest in, and there's so many people pulling you left and right saying, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. But the legal aspect of it will save you so much heartache and so much money, because there are so many downfalls and so many just, some minefield waiting to, you might be able to dance around it, but that's not really something that you want to take a chance on. And I think that, the legal side of it is something early on that would have saved us a lot of headache, had we been able to have a resource like your store page that we could have reached out to. And, you make it very accessible too. So I feel like no one has an excuse. This is me like being mother hen. You don't have an excuse. Paige has a lovely storefront where you can just go on and get really nicely already like put together contracts. Just go do it. Protect yourself.
Oh, you're just the sweetest. Like preach, Alisha. But thank you. You didn't have to plug my store. I did just buy a contract, and I know this is something we're probably out of time to talk about now, and maybe we'll get to talk about. We just hired our first full-time employee, and so I've been talking to Paige about that, what all that entails. And again, for those of you who may have
employees versus contract employees. Like, there's those kinds of things. You've got to protect yourself there, and the rules on, non-competes and non-disclosures, differences. And there's only, you can't enforce both depending on what kind of employee it is. And all of that to say, we're still in the middle of learning all the legal things with that. And Paige is right now, like, she's my go-to for that. And, I just said to you before we got on, the contract itself you have on the storefront for an employee, it is so solid. And we will have some things we need to customize just due to the nature of how our full-time employee is being utilized. But looking over that contract, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is not just, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're an attorney or something. And I'm just really impressed. And so, but no, so I say that because I am in the middle of actually implementing it, and literally we just downloaded it, a few days ago. And so, this is not blowing smoke up anyone's rear end. This is truly, it's benefiting our business incredibly. So I'm only raving about what I am personally benefiting from and using and learning from. So I, do want to say that I'm not just, I do love you, Paige, but I actually like you as a professional because you're awesome. So.
Well, thank you. That is very, very kind of you to say. Alisha, you have been awesome on this podcast episode. I have a feeling we're going to talk about hiring a team and maybe contract stuff later on. But for the time being, all Preview and Prosecco things, and obviously just everything you've talked about today has been amazing. But where can people find you if they have more questions, they want to reach out?
Yeah. So our, I feel like with Instagram now, I hand that out before I even hand out a business card these days. I'm like, oh, what's your Instagram? So we're very active on our Instagram page, just Alisha Crossley Photography, and it's ALISHA, which is a weird spelling, and Crossley is CROSSLEY. I know you'll have all those credits like in their page on this.
Yep. I'll link everything for you guys.
And it's like all legit. Love that. And then we do, of course, have a website, Alisha Crossley Photography, but it's very easy to find. And so definitely reach out to me with any questions. We, again, have a heart for education, and we do offer, mentoring. We do offer, different elements of moving into this next year. We're going to have, I know Paige is doing an online mastermind. And so we have a few things coming up that are going to be really exciting, but I'm always happy to answer questions for anyone who reaches out to me. It's not you have that question. If anyone has questions about this and, just wants to hit surface on maybe some of the things that they've looked at, or some of the questions about our experience, I'm more than happy to lend answers to that just as a fellow creative.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Alisha. You guys go reach out to her if you need more info from the fabulous Miss Crossley. Alisha, thank you so much for giving us your time today. You've been amazing. I love you. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. See, I told you being legally legit isn't so scary. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for all show notes. And it would be super awesome if you could head over to iTunes and leave a review. Last but not least, don't forget to join my free Facebook group for unlimited legal and biz Q&A. Chat soon, Legal Pagers.